Please help me. I'm scared. I think someone is following me.
I got the message from my wife while I was still at the office, just trying to wrap up for the day. Her text was short, cold, and a little alarming. It just said she was going out and it was none of my concern. Now, it was already getting late, so I replied just asking where she was heading at this hour. Just a simple question. But then I saw that little typing bubble appear, and just as quickly, it vanished. A few minutes later, a new message popped up. She told me I was being controlling and that I needed to relax. I just stared at my phone screen, feeling that familiar, tight knot forming in my chest again. It was a feeling I'd gotten used to lately. We had been growing distant, there's no denying it, but this felt different, this felt intentional. I typed back, "I just want to know you're safe. That's all." Her reply was a single laughing emoji, followed by, "I'll be fine." Hours passed. I finally got home, and the house was eerily quiet. Her car was gone from the driveway, and every light inside was off. It felt empty. I tried calling her, but it went straight to voicemail every single time. I sent another message, a simple, "Please call me back when you get this." But there was no response, just silence. And in that silence, my thoughts started racing, painting all sorts of worst-case scenarios. It was near the middle of the night when my phone finally buzzed, jolting me awake on the couch. It was her number calling. I answered immediately, but the voice on the other end wasn't hers. It was a shaky, unfamiliar man's voice. He said my wife was with him, that she was crying and needed help. He said she didn't know what to do. My heart started pounding in my chest. I asked him where they were. He gave me an address on the other side of town and told me she was scared. I don't think I've ever driven that fast in my life. All the anger I had felt earlier just dissolved into pure, raw fear. When I finally got to the address, I saw her. She was sitting on the curb under a dim streetlight, her makeup smeared down her face from crying, her phone shaking in her hand. She looked up at me as I pulled over, and her expression was one of pure shock, like she genuinely didn't expect me to come. I got out and helped her into the car without saying a single word. The silence between us was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. It was suffocating. On the long drive home, she finally broke the quiet. Her voice was barely a whisper. She said she had gone out with someone from work. She kept repeating that it wasn't supposed to go that far. My voice was steady when I asked the question I already knew the answer to. "Did you cheat on me?" She didn't answer. She just stared out the window, and her silence was the loudest confession I'd ever heard. When we got back to the house, the dam broke. She tried to explain everything through choked sobs. She said she felt ignored, that she just wanted attention from someone. She swore it just happened and that it didn't mean anything. I just stood there and listened calmly. My lack of a reaction seemed to confuse her more than anything. I unlocked my phone and pulled up our text conversation from earlier in the night. I turned the screen towards her, showing her the cold, dismissive messages she'd sent. I asked her, "Is this what respect looks like?" That's when she started crying even harder, begging, saying she was so sorry. I told her, "Sorry doesn't erase choices." She looked at me with wide, panicked eyes and asked, "Are you going to leave me?" I looked right back at her and said, "I think I already left emotionally, the moment you stopped caring about us." She begged me to forgive her, promised she would change, that she'd do anything, but I just shook my head. "Promises don't matter when the trust is gone," I told her. She reached for my hand, but I pulled it away. I told her I would help her get settled for the night, that she could take the bed. She looked relieved for a split second, probably thinking that meant we were going to work through this, that everything was going to be fine. She was wrong. The next morning, I was up before the sun. I made a pot of coffee, just like I did every day. She came into the kitchen a little while later, her eyes all swollen and red. She quietly asked if we could talk. Instead of answering, I just handed her a white envelope. Her hands started shaking as she took it from me. Inside were divorce papers. Tucked in with them was a short note I had written in the middle of the night. It said I deserved honesty and peace. It said that love cannot survive on a foundation of disrespect. She dropped into a kitchen chair, the papers falling to the floor as she covered her face and sobbed. Through her tears, she asked how I could be so calm. I told her, calm is what happens when a decision has already been made. She kept saying she never thought I would actually leave her, and that, I told her, was the entire problem. She truly believed I would always be there, always accepting less than I deserved, no matter what. She asked if there was someone else. I said, "No, there's just me." Finally, I told her that for the first time in a long time, I was choosing self-respect over her excuses. She whispered that she had ruined everything. I didn't argue, I just calmly agreed with her. I went to our room, packed a single bag, and walked to the front door. Before I left, I turned back to her one last time. I said, "Love isn't about having freedom without any responsibility, and loyalty. That's not an optional part of a marriage." She cried out my name as I closed the door behind me, but I didn't turn around. I just kept walking. Later that day, my phone blew up with messages from her. She said she missed me already. She said she would do anything to fix what she had broken. I only replied once. All I wrote was, "Some lessons come too late." The weeks that followed were filled with a kind of silence I hadn't experienced in years. But it wasn't an empty silence. It was a healing one. I started sleeping better. I felt like I could breathe easier. A massive weight I didn't even fully realize I was carrying had been lifted. I came to the hard realization that I had been lonely for a very long time, even when I was married. One evening, a few weeks later, she messaged me again. She said she finally understood what she had lost. She said she got it now. I read the message and then I just put my phone down. I didn't respond. Some stories end with dramatic fights or grand acts of revenge. Mine ended quietly. It ended with peace. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been through something similar, know that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about finding strength in difficult times. See you in the next one.